public policy polling also looked at polarization between Democrats and Republicans when it comes to food, okay? And I always find this kind of stuff fascinating, especially because you never really think that food has anything to do with party lines. But here are some of the results of their polling. They found that when it comes to what Democrats and Republicans prefer in terms of their carbs, about 34% of Democrats prefer bagels and 32% prefer croissants. When it comes to Republicans, donuts all the way. 35% of them prefer donuts.
Yeah.
Super interesting.
That number is probably thrown off just by Rush Limbaugh, though. No, but like they're joking about like, oh, I don't want a croissant. No, if I hand you a croissant, you're going to eat it because croissants are delicious.
They are delicious.
Yeah.
Especially when you use them to make your breakfast sandwiches.
Just call it pastry. Republicans will eat it.
Yeah.
It sounds a little too French. They probably want to call it an American freedom bagel.
American freedom bagel. Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah.
When it comes to soda pop, Democrats prefer regular soda, 47% of them, and Republicans prefer diet soda, 42% of them. All right, so
Okay.
I'm very curious as to why this is. Is it because Democrats are against the aspartame? They're more into the natural sugar?
It could be that. It could also be, I'm going to just completely throw this out there, maybe Republicans in general more overweight, more worried about taking in the empty calories, so they falsely think that diet soda will help them in the long run a bunch.
Right. And
I would say research the science behind that a bit more, but
absolutely.
at least they're trying.
And by the way, let me be clear about something. I know that regular soda oftentimes doesn't contain natural sugars. A lot of times it's high fructose corn syrup, so I just want to make that crystal clear.
Yeah, but corn's a vegetable, so.
I love those commercials by the Corn Refiners Association where they're like, sugar is sugar. Eat that popsicle. It's totally good for you. All right, moving on. This is my favorite result from their poll, okay? When it comes to Olive Garden, okay, the question was, does Olive Garden constitute as a quality source of authentic ethnic food? 43% of Republicans said yes, but you know what? Democrats weren't that much better. I mean, 41% of Democrats said no, but still a sizable chunk said yes.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think that that's kind of a trick question.
Yeah.
Like, how authentic does it have to be? Like, I got news for you. Every Italian restaurant in America serves roughly the same Americanized Italian food. Like, it's not what's actually being served in Tuscany. Like, it's the best we've got.
That's actually a really good point. Because
and it's tasty.
If you go to Italy, their pizza is not covered in cheese and sauce. A lot of times it's like a thin bread with, oftentimes it doesn't even include cheese, right? And it has like, you know, some ingredients. It's very simple unless it's the margherita pizza. But anyway, when I went to Italy, the food is very different from what we serve here, even in the authentic Italian restaurants. So that's a fair point. But at the same time, I think most people know that Olive Garden is not a good example of authentic Italian cuisine, right?
Yeah, but when you're there, you're with family. But like, at least they're trying. Like, they think to themselves, like, I'm being cultured and cosmopolitan. And I mean, look, we only have so many options. Like, we're in LA. It's a bit different when you're in, you know, Las Cruces or something. Like, not to just besmirch Las Cruces. Maybe they have restaurants. I don't know. But like, if you want Chinese food and all you've got is Panda Express, yeah, maybe the orange chicken you're eating isn't exactly the same as the orange chicken that peasants across rural China are eating, but it's probably pretty similar.
By the way, I mean, but the thing is, wouldn't you compare it to like people saying like, oh yeah, Taco Bell is totally authentic Mexican food? You know what I mean? Like, it just sounds ridiculous. But you know what? You're making a fair point, because we do live in a metropolitan area and we do live in our own bubble where we do have access to truly authentic food.
Yeah.
If you're living in the middle of the country somewhere in a rural area, then maybe Olive Garden is what you would consider, you know, authentic Italian food.
It's context sensitive. When I was at UConn, one of the only things we could do for nightlife, if you weren't going to go to a bar, was legit drive to Walmart, and people would hang out at Walmart. And UConn's not in the middle of Oklahoma, by the way, so it gets even worse.
There's nothing wrong with that. All right, when it comes to the favorite meal of the day, you know, public policy polling looked at dinner, breakfast, lunch, and they found that the vast majority of respondents actually preferred dinner. 29% preferred breakfast, and lunch came in at only 11%, which is fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I think that dinner definitely has the most options, like the most, variability, especially because I think it's dinner and to a lesser extent lunch where people actually do involve the food of other cultures. Like when people are thinking about what to have for breakfast, like they're not like, what would the Chinese have for breakfast today? Or what would an Indian breakfast be? They have cereal or bagel or croissant if you're a Dem. I don't know.